If states adopt these recommendations from the report, they'll see a 5% increase, that is, funding the police per year in federal funding through the Burn JAG program. My hope is that we can all work together across party lines to fund good programs that support and improve our law enforcement. And with that, I'd like to yield the balance of my time to my colleague, Mr. Swalwell.
Thank you. And I just want to address Mr. Johnson, who said you brought the receipts. Well, Mr. Johnson, I've got some receipts for you. This committee met about 2 months ago, and the chairman, who can call any person in the world who walks this earth as a witness, called this guy, who tweeted just a couple weeks before the hearing, "Fuck cops." Your witness tweeted that. Not one of you disavowed that guy. Not one of you said that was inappropriate. I was stunned that you call yourself a pro-police party and you bring a witness before us that says, "Fuck cops." I don't believe in that, but I thought if you didn't believe in that, you would have taken the opportunity to say it. But no, not only did you not disavow it, you invited the guy here in Congress to be your witness. Imagine if we had ever done that. We didn't. You did. Second, I would love Mr. Johnson to disavow, because by the way, I will disavow the defund the police movement. I've never called for it. I believe, just as President Biden believes when he addressed Congress, that we should fund the police. But Mr. Johnson, will you disavow your colleague, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who tweets out and makes money off of a defund the FBI movement? Because they're police too. They protect us too. But I don't think you will. I think you're going to sit silent, and your silence, by the way, is complicity. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
Yield to the gentleman from Arizona.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Appreciate the backpedaling at an alarming rate from the other side. Watch out, you might fall over backwards. We have a video to play. I think this will provide some visual summation, please.
And the police has to happen. We need to defund the police.
Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million.
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
But we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
So yes, defund your butts. Defund you.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We will be moving funding from the NYPD.
Yes, I support the defund movement. I'm for responsible reallocation of resources.
And defund the police.
I think you do all those other things, you don't need all the money that's going to the police department. So yeah, I mean, the spirit of it, I do support that.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of us were asked if we could imagine a future without police back in 2017 when we were running for office. And I answered yes to that question.
We are going to reduce funding in the police department and redirect that money.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the police bureau.
The police department here in Minneapolis needs to be dismantled, and we need to start anew.
In some necessary cases, completely dismantling those police forces.
Police departments are taking a sizable amount of the budget of a lot of municipalities and other entities. We need to look at those budgets, pull some of the money back.
But we talk about defunding the police, defunding the Pentagon.
My push is that we defund our police departments.
Defunding police means defunding police. If these reports are accurate, then these proposed cuts to the NYPD budget are a disingenuous illusion. This is not a victory. The freshman Democrat adding, the fight to defund policing will continue.
Mr. Chairman, I also have several articles that I would like to submit for the record. Instead of reading all the titles, I'll just provide those to you, if that's okay.
Without objection.
And I'll yield back to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Klein.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yield to the chair.
Yeah, I would just say, in response to the gentleman from California, of course we disavow that tweet. That is obvious, and if we'd have known that individual had had that tweet out there. I doubt if he'd have been invited as a witness. With that, I yield back to the gentleman from Virginia. Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes, I think it's Ms. Jackson Lee, and then the amendment. What order? I'll go in any order you want, but Ms. Jackson Lee, and then we'll go to the amendment.
It's, I think I'm offering, just a moment, Mr. Chairman, before I do the amendment.
Oh, you have an amendment too?
Yeah, well, let me speak first and go to whoever you're going to next, and then I'm going to yield to the ranking member of the committee.
It's your time. You can go how you want.
Let me do an...
We haven't even started yet, but we should.
Yeah, I'll strike the last word. Let me do some administrative work here for just a moment, because this committee is very important to me. HR 2494, I was unavoidably detained, and I want to make sure that had I been here, I would have voted aye on the Jayapal amendment, aye on the Nadler amendment, and I would have voted on the Jackson Lee Ivey amendment. I thank him for his courtesies. I would have voted aye. Thank you very much, Mr. Ivey, for your courtesies and final passage. I would have voted no. H. Con Res on the Cohen determination of germaneness, I would have voted no to make sure that his amendment was germane. Now, the point that I want to make is I've listened to the juxtaposing of feelings and who is more pro law enforcement than the next. Mr. Chairman, I just cannot hold to that. There is not one member in this room that does not feel the pain of a loss of an officer fallen in duty. There may be perspectives on funding and helping the community. Members have those opportunities because this is an opinion-based House that is based upon the representation of your constituents. But I will take great umbrage for anyone to suggest anything other than we pain and hurt for those who run into danger as police officers and firefighters do. In this instance, we're honoring police officers. They'll be here in the thousands next week, as well as their family members. I think we should show dignity by suggesting that there is unity in that affection and respect. I've not seen any video that has shown any person that has shown definitive and direct disrespect to any law enforcement officers. And now I will add to that, that I also hope we'll give respect to the FBI, the ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshals, and others. When I've heard from my friends on the other side of the aisle, I won't fund them. I'm going to make sure they don't get one single dime, or I'm going to make sure that ATF officers do not get paid their salaries. So with that in mind, let me yield to my ranking member, Mr. Nadler.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding. You know, at our hearing in New York, we didn't hear the full story. Mrs. Brame, for example, told us about the murder of her son. She didn't tell us that of the 4 people who were engaged in that, 1 turned state's evidence, 1 is doing 7 years, and 2 are doing lifetime terms. So that doesn't show a weakness in the district attorney or in the criminal justice system in New York. In addition to that, the statistics came out. We have the statistics that per capita murder rates in 2020 were 40% higher in the 25 states won by Trump than those won by Biden. The murder rates in many of those red states dwarf those of blue states like New York, California, Massachusetts. Only 2 of America's top 100 cities in population are in these high murder rate states. In fact, the top per capita murder rates in 2020 were those far from urban centers. 8 of the top 10 worst murder rate states voted for Trump, and none of these 8 has supported a Democrat since 1996. Notably, New Mexico and Georgia were the only Biden voting states in the top 10, and they ranked 7th and 8th, respectively. So that when that very selectively edited film we saw, or video we saw, that referred to reallocating resources, not defunding, although some people called it that, but reallocating resources from police to mental health or other services that have resulted very effectively in reducing crime rates. I thank the gentlelady for yielding. I yield back to her.
I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Who seeks recognition? Gentleman from Rhode Island is recognized. Mr. Cellini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk will report.